In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to fall into the trap of endlessly chasing the next big thing, believing that happiness and fulfillment lie just around the corner in the achievement or purchase that awaits us. And yet, even with success and material wealth, we can't help but ask ourselves, is this all there is? This question lies at the heart of Ram Dass's transformation from a successful Harvard psychologist to a spiritual luminary seeking deeper truths. Dass's awakening began through using psychedelic drugs and then continued on to the teachings of a guru in India. Along the way, he gathered valuable insights and guidance, sharing them on his return to America so that others could reach similar realizations. For many in the West, his wisdom was an inspiring introduction to Eastern spirituality. And today, it's just as powerful. Dass's spiritual journey offers timeless wisdom on transcending the ego, embracing the present, and finding peace within. We can't cover all of Dass's insights in this blink, but we can give you an accessible introduction to some of his main concepts. Think of this as a starting point for your own transformation. Before you begin your own journey, however, let's learn about Ram Dass and how he arrived there at his spiritual destination. Or rather, arrived here. Becoming Ram Dass. Ram Dass's spiritual journey began in the 1960s when he was a Harvard psychologist called Richard Alpert. His name was later changed by his guru in India. So to keep things simple, we'll use that name. It's the one he's best known by, Ram Dass. In 1961, Dass had everything, on the surface at least. He was a Harvard professor at the height of his academic career. He owned a nice apartment, a car, a motorcycle, and even a small plane. And yet, despite his success, Dass grappled with a profound sense of dissatisfaction, a nagging feeling that there had to be more to life. His quest for understanding led him to the world of psychedelic drugs. And for the first time, he encountered the infinite expanse of human consciousness. Substances like psilocybin and LSD opened up a universe of perception and insight that he had never imagined possible. However, to his dismay, Dass soon realized that the euphoria and expanded awareness that these substances brought were fleeting. Every experience was followed by an inevitable come-down. Dass was left longing for a more enduring connection to the spiritual world, and for a while, he sank into despair. As a result of his involvement in psychedelics, Dass lost his job at Harvard. But then came a new opportunity to travel to India, a country rich in spiritual history and wisdom. It was here that a chance meeting with a young, surprisingly enlightened American traveler changed everything. This new friend, who lived a life of remarkable simplicity, taught Dass the power of being fully present in each moment. And together, they embarked on a journey that led them to a guru. Dass was initially skeptical, but his encounter with the guru, Neem Karoli Baba, or Maharaji to his followers, became a pivotal moment of awakening. One day, Maharaji said to Dass, "Last night, you were thinking about your mother." "Yes," said Dass, surprised that he knew this. Then Maharaji said something he couldn't possibly have known, that Dass's mother had died the previous year, and that the cause was her stomach. More precisely, her spleen. Dass was stunned. There was no rational explanation for what had just happened. Clearly, there was a level of consciousness at work that went beyond the individual. This encounter, both mystifying and illuminating, opened Dass's heart to Maharaji's teachings. Then, with the guidance of another spiritual mentor called Baba Hari Das, Ram Dass began to explore the teachings of Raja Yoga. In addition to practices like yoga, breathing exercises, and meditation, Dass learned spiritual teachings through simple lessons. Phrases like, "snakes know heart," and "yogis in jungle need not fear." These were lessons about energy and vibrations. In other words, if you're spiritually pure, there's nothing to fear. For Dass, this phase of deep learning and growth instilled a profound awareness of the connection between the divine, the self, and the universe. When he returned to the West, Dass still considered himself a novice on the spiritual path, but he was keen to share his lessons and insights with others on the same journey. transcending attachment. One of Ram Dass's most central concepts is called From Bindu to Ojas. It encapsulates Dass's core teachings on spirituality, consciousness, and the journey to enlightenment. The phrase from Bindu to Ojas symbolizes a journey from a point of individual consciousness, or Bindu, to the essence or vigor that sustains spiritual practice, known as Ojas, leading to a higher state of awareness and being. This metaphorical voyage represents an important transition, moving from a life centered around the ego and materialistic desires to a state of enlightenment and unity with the divine. The voyage begins by exploring the concept of the individual self, or ego, and the suffering caused by attachment to the physical and temporal aspects of existence. Societal norms and personal desires create a cycle of attachment and pain. So to achieve true freedom and happiness, we must transcend these attachments. We must also explore the nature of reality, the illusion of separateness, and the interconnectedness of all beings. The truth is, we are all one. It is fundamental to recognize our inherent divinity as well as the divine in others. And if we wish to achieve spiritual fulfillment, we should aim to live a life of service, love, and compassion. Dass's message is one of hope and transformation. Enlightenment is within reach for everyone, regardless of our circumstances. After all, that place of peace and tranquility is within us. There's nowhere we need to go to find it. We simply need to look inwards. The good news is that you don't need to change your life completely to do this, and you don't have to live a monk-like existence on a mountain. Instead, you can continue living your life and doing your work just without attachment, without identifying with it. For instance, if you're a potter, you can keep on making pots. Just remember that you're not actually the one making the pots. The pots just are. The potter is. Everything simply exists. Put another way, the spiritual path is not about renouncing the world. Instead, the aim is to see through the illusions of the ego and embrace the truth of our existence. The point is to truly be present, right here, right now. Because in reality, there's nothing else. There is only now. Once you understand that, you're on the right track. You can overcome your fear of death because you realize there is no death. We're all just here, now, in the divine dance of life that never ends. Arriving at this realization can happen in many ways. It might come to you through direct experience, such as falling in love or having a child. But as we'll see in the next sections, there are specific methods you can use to bring you closer to the truth of existence. Let's explore them now. Practical guidance. Breathing. The wonderful thing about deepening your spirituality is that there's no prescribed path you must follow. Rather, you can explore simple, practical techniques and then choose what works best for you. Simply listen to your inner voice. It will tell you what you need to do on your journey. For many people, breathing is a good method to start with. It's a fundamental part of spiritual practice and something you can do anywhere, at any time. When you breathe, you're harnessing the life force, or pran, that flows through us all. Think of the breath as a gateway. With each breath, you're tuning into the energy of the universe and reaching a state of peace and heightened awareness. This connection between breath and thought is so profound that calming one can simultaneously calm the other, leading to a state of samadhi, or superconsciousness. And through the disciplined practice of pranayama, or controlled breathing exercises, you can manipulate this vital energy, bringing about a serene calmness and a readiness for deeper spiritual practices. For beginners, there are simple yet immediately effective exercises that pave the way for more advanced techniques. These practices not only instill a sense of peace throughout the day, but also encourage more efficient breathing patterns. Seasoned yogis breathe gently, never getting out of breath, and this is something you can work towards. So to enhance your spiritual journey, try making pranayama part of your daily routine. Make sure you do these exercises on an empty stomach, ideally first thing in the morning or at sunset before the evening meal. An upright posture is important, whether you're seated in the lotus position or in a chair. Maintain alignment of your head, neck, and chest, and contract your abdominal muscles slightly. Then, try the technique known as Shitali. Extend your tongue out as far as you can and shape it into a U shape. Then, breathe in deeply through the mouth, imagining the intake of pure life force. Then, retract the tongue and exhale through the nose. Imagine that you're expelling any impurities. While you do this exercise, try to focus your mind on the point between your eyebrows, so you're bringing the pran or life force to that area. Start with 5 of these breaths a day, then add another breath each day until you reach 50. Simple breathing exercises like this are a good foundation, something you can easily incorporate into your daily routine. With practice, you can calm and prepare your mind so you're ready for the next step on your spiritual journey. Practical guidance. Mantras. On the path to enlightenment, thoughts can feel like an obstacle. They distract us, vying for our attention. But some thoughts are more useful than others. In fact, by repeating certain thoughts over and over again, you can come closer to transcending thought altogether. Or to put it another way, use a mantra, a Sanskrit phrase that can be repeated as part of a spiritual practice. There are all kinds of mantras. Some are designed to be used in specific situations, for acts like cooking, showering, or even going to the toilet. Then there are general mantras, which anyone can use at any moment. Here's an example of a well-known mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. It's made up of the sacred syllable Om, followed by a phrase meaning, to Shiva I bow. Shiva is one of the most revered Hindu gods. Known as the Destroyer, he creates, protects, and transforms the universe. This mantra is just one example. There are many others you can use. But at this point, you might be wondering how you actually do a mantra. Well, you don't. You let a mantra happen to you. For instance, let's say you feel drawn to using a particular mantra like Rama. Here are some suggestions for how to work with it. First, consider the meaning. In this case, think about Rama, the spiritual figure who represents light, love, wisdom, and compassion. Then, pronounce the name in your head silently. Repeat it over and over again. Next, let it come outside. Start saying the mantra aloud, as if you're speaking along with the inside voice that's whispering it. As you keep repeating it, you'll notice the mantra moving. It's not just on your tongue, but in your brain, and eventually, in your heart. Continue to repeat the mantra consciously so the habit becomes ingrained, part of your daily routine. Say it when you wake up and when you're out for a walk. Anything can be an opportunity to return to the mantra. But remember, the mantra isn't something you do. Rather, the mantra is doing you. View yourself as a passive instrument as the mantra guides you on your path. Think of it like this. You're like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. The caterpillar doesn't make a conscious decision to turn into a butterfly. It has no control. But it's an inevitable, unfolding process. Basically, you just have to let it happen. In this link to Be Here Now by Ram Dass, you've learned that in the 1960s, Ram Dass went on an incredible transformation from Harvard psychologist to spiritual teacher. After immersing himself in the teachings of Raja Yoga in India, he experienced the deep, enduring spiritual connection he'd been craving his whole adult life. So, once he'd returned to the West, Das dedicated himself to sharing the spiritual wisdom and practices he had embraced so that others could embark on their own journeys. Spiritual transformation occurs when we overcome the ego, unite with the divine, and lead a life filled with service and compassion. This may sound overwhelming, but by living in the moment and looking inward as pathways to spiritual fulfillment, enlightenment and peace are within everyone's reach, including yours. If this is a journey you wish to take, start by introducing simple spiritual practices into your day, like breathing and chanting mantras. These transformative exercises will quieten your mind, connect you with universal energy, and create deep internal change as you continue on your path to enlightenment. And thank you so much for listening. And if you would like, please leave us a rating or a comment because we always appreciate your feedback. See you in the next blink. Bye.